Hey, Pepin.
Yo.
You know, I've been thinking a lot lately about letters.
Letters?
Yeah, like how you can have like a series of letters and put them together and it makes a big word.
Like an anagram? Like a palindrome? Like what are you talking about?
Like what's it called when you have
Acronym?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Like WWE.
WWE. That's the World Life Entertainment Foundation. Like is that?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
all
right?
4 words. That's the one. Do you mean like the WWF, the World Wildlife Foundation?
Oh yeah, that used to be the W. Okay, then it changed to W. That's what I'm getting mixed up.
Yeah, the WWF became the... Nate, we need to talk. Do you want to use that? Welcome back. So glad you guys could make it. My name is Meter. I am here once again.
Make it?
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
I'm glad everybody could make it. What? You're all here. You made it.
I made it to my own house. It was tough.
Right. It's like I'm glad your ears could make it to the podcast.
Listen, I knew I fucked it up, but I was going with it. You guys had to take this somewhere.
That no quit attitude.
Yeah, you got into that awkward part where you're like, well, shit, I'm halfway through the sentence. I just have to finish it now.
I gotta finish it.
So like then there's a second half of it where I introduce myself and I fucked that up too. So
So you are Meter.
my name's Meter. I'm here once again with my best friend Pepin. How's it going, Pepin?
Yo, doing well. It's a lovely Saturday here, and we're joined with some lovely friends here. We have Garrett,
Yep.
and we have Corey.
Yep.
From
the
C&G Wrestling.
Pro Wrestling Podcast.
C&G
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling.
Oh, we could care less if you got it right or wrong.
From the R&L Pro Wrestling Commentary.
Now, C&G is Corey and Garrett, I assume?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, you nailed that one.
It was great.
It's the first acronym you got.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you guys could make it. Now, you guys are also on Podcast NH as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're kind of on a mix of everything, really.
Well, yeah, but
Corey's the one who runs all the technical side.
yeah, I just basically tell him what we're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's just like when we came up with the plan today, I got a text of, hey, are you doing anything Saturday? No, I don't think so. Okay, we're going down here to do this. You got it.
Yeah. Yep. It was basically his day was open. I wasn't doing anything. It was just like, yeah, we're doing it.
Yep.
So
Well, we love it. I'm glad you guys came all the way down because you guys are pretty far up north. What was it, like a 2-hour drive?
an hour.
Yeah, I'd say
About
probably
an
about
hour.
an hour.
Oh,
or
an
something
hour?
like
I have
that.
an hour and
Yeah.
a half.
Oh.
Do you really?
Yeah, I have to go all the way through Manchester.
Oh, well, you're driving wrong then. Probably not driving as fast as
Yeah.
we were or something like that.
That's fair. That's
If
fair.
you step on the gas pedal a little bit harder, it goes faster. So.
Oh,
Yeah, there you
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the tips,
Hey,
guys.
not a problem.
If we're done being assholes. So tell me about your show. I have listened to some episodes.
Do you want me to be the talking piece?
Yeah.
Usually this is how it works every now and then. I'll throw it out there. What I do for work is I'm actually a police officer, so I'm very used to talking to people.
Yeah.
And Corey's kind of the semi-awkward one.
I work in IT.
He's
so
in IT,
I'm,
so
I'm
he
in
just
a
talks
basement.
to computers and
Yeah.
all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we started up our podcast, our wrestling podcast, I think it was in January.
Yeah, because
We
I
had
think it was
started
right
it up.
after the
Yeah.
New Year. Yeah.
And we had, like you had said, and we've mentioned on our podcast before, we had a failed podcast that we had before, the Makeshift podcast. And we just did it on a whim, saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and attempt to do this podcast. We tried to basically do what you guys did, either pick a topic or just get together and talk shit for like an hour. And it failed miserably.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
so we said, you know what? We are both semi-obsessed with wrestling, and we might as well just pick one topic and go with it. And we figured there's so much going on in wrestling that on a week-to-week basis, it's like, well, we have enough material to work with from there, so let's just pick wrestling and let's just roll with it.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
eventually have now gotten to that point.
Yeah, I think we just recorded our 20th episode
Yeah,
today.
something like that,
So
yeah.
and that will be up later.
And our biggest thing, which of course annoys the piss out of me, is we don't know what we have for a fan base. We don't know if anyone's actually listening to us or not. And we're just like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
Someone will eventually listen to us down the road. So, and then we got hooked up with podcasts of NH and all that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of working out.
It's awesome so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. We're on the network too, and the network's actually growing quite a bit. So
Yeah.
we're really excited.
I saw
about
another
that.
show was just added as
Yeah,
well.
the Unqualified Network
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
Was this the one with the spaceman?
Yes, it
picture?
is.
Okay, yeah.
They're like that was just a placeholder, but we've been using it for the last 3 years. So
You know what? It kind of worked because when I saw it on the website, I clicked on it as in like I don't know what the fuck this is, but I'm gonna click on it anyways, kind of thing.
Called
So-
clickbait.
what's a spaceman? Is that even a podcast? Or like,
That's what I thought it was like Spaceman Podcast. So, yeah, okay, whatever.
well, that's fantastic. And I've listened. You guys, the audio quality is fucking outstanding. You guys are so knowledgeable when it comes to wrestling. I don't want to get anywhere near current wrestling because you guys fucking know what you're talking about, and I don't even know what half of the acronyms you guys throw out.
And see, and that's why we recorded our show before we came here, because we were talking, and this might not mean anything to you. We were like, yeah, we don't know if they want to listen to us talk about Roman Reigns for a fucking half hour when we go there. So it's just like, let's get our episode out of the way, and then we'll go.
We
down
get
there.
bored during that process, so we can only imagine what you guys would feel during that talking of Roman Reigns.
Yep.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey, is she good?
She actually is pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
She had her debut at WrestleMania, and that was
She
it,
actually-
like blew expectations.
She looked phenomenal
Yeah.
at WrestleMania, so it's actually kind of working out.
And she's able to like work with other wrestlers.
Oh
and
yeah,
make-
Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. They were actually having her do legitimate wrestling stuff, opposed to just like hip tossing someone and calling it a night.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of working out.
She's
for
doing
her.
more than just the arm bar, so and it's looking pretty good. So,
But that has to be your finisher, though, right?
oh, it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's done that already, but yeah, like wrestling moves and stuff like that, she's doing a great job.
Plus, she looks like $1 million.
Oh yeah.
Kind of. We've one thing we talked about where we said if we ever get big, we have to hold back from the sexual innuendos of some sort of superstars. 'Cause it's like, God forbid we get big and have to go interview someone, and they're like, "Well, 2 years ago you said that you would like to do this, this, and this to me while bending me over a table." And
Your
it's like,
fear is that somebody famous is going to go listen to 2 years worth of your podcast.
You never know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that doesn't tell you how backwards my thinking is. It's like, we're going to get so big, they're going to want to listen to our beginning episodes at some point.
Like, I need to know the history of these guys. So
Yeah.
Well, I guess more realistically, like fans could go back and listen and be like,
yeah.
and then bring that to her
Oh,
attention.
yeah.
which
yeah.
nowadays would totally happen.
Absolutely.
2 years ago, he said he wanted to bend you over his kitchen counter.
So to be fair, you want to bend Ronda Rousey over your kitchen counter,
Or she could bend me over.
one or
of
the other.
two.
There needs to be
Yes.
some bending in the
Yes.
kitchen counter. And Rousey. Okay.
I will take it in the kitchen if I have to from Ronda.
Fair.
Absolutely.
So talk to me about women's wrestling a bit, because the last time I was watching wrestling was back in the mid 90s, early thousands when
oh boy,
Women-
has it
Braun
changed.
panties.
when women, it was
Yeah.
brawn panties. It was Miss Kitty. Like all she did was take her clothes off. Like
Yeah.
it was Jerry the King Lawler yelling puppies every 2 seconds, and it was really, when the women did fight, it was really shitty. Like they had no training. They were just eye candy.
Yeah.
What's it like nowadays?
Oh,
It's
180
180
degrees.
Oh yeah, it's
difference.
completely
Oh, yeah.
different.
So it's competitive. It's entertaining to watch for the sport itself.
Oh yeah,
There's been a few times on like certain pay-per-views the women's match actually outshined all of the men's matches on like a pay-per-view and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's actually some women wrestlers that the fan base as a whole will actually get more excited to see than actual men wrestlers. So they've completely come very far in just a, like we were saying, 15-year time period,
well,
something like that.
Not even that,
10
because
years.
the revolution that they coined it was about like 5 years ago, 6 years
Yeah,
ago.
it actually wasn't too long ago.
Yes.
Where they got,
They're-
there was the
they're
big thing
focused.
where all women's wrestlers were called divas in air quotes, and now
Right.
they're just actual superstars.
Right. I remember Trish Stratus and Lita were kind of some of the pioneers of actually like doing wrestling moves, but like even they looked really sloppy at times. Like
Yeah.
they didn't spend as much time practicing moves with people who knew what they were doing. Like Lita was probably trained by Matt Hardy. Like how
Yeah.
good can you be if you're trained by Matt Hardy
Exactly,
in the early 90s?
And what it is now too is you still have the ones that'll be kind of the eye candy stuff, but at the same time they can actually go in the ring. So they have the nice mix of, well, yeah, we're gonna of course have attractive women doing this, but at the same time they're just as good, if not better, than the men. really, is what they do.
Because the one of the best like female wrestlers right now is actually Ric Flair's daughter,
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she looks like $1 million, and she could like easily like beat the crap out of anybody.
Yeah,
too,
her
so-
leaked nude photos were amazing.
Well, and that was part of one of the fappenings, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was actually someone I was about to bring up because I haven't watched much wrestling at all,
Yeah.
but someone said something about Charlotte Flair, and I'm like, I want to see how bad she sucks. So I watched a match with her against, what's her name? It's like the girl with the hair, like different colored hair or something. I don't know.
Asuka?
The girl with the face.
Was she Japanese or? Oh, it's probably
Probably
Sasha.
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 Yeah, Sasha Banks.
Like purple hair?
Yeah, Sasha
Yep.
Banks. So it's
Yep.
her versus Sasha Banks in some Hell in a Cell match, I think, or something like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were
it was in Boston.
We were there for that one.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So that match was actually really good, and it was believable that Charlotte was this force. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't want to fucking mess with her because she's
Yeah.
like Jack, number one. Number two, she's like fucking like calling out to the fans and like kind of like, yeah, you can't beat me. And it's like, holy shit, this
Yeah.
girl's real.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she has a they've done it really well with their women's division that everyone's believable because they have some people in the men's division where you can just tell it's almost as if these made up characters that are larger than life, and sometimes that doesn't really pan over well to like a casual fan base. So they've done a really good job with the women's division of actually making them believable. So
I think one of the first like believable, excluding China, that doesn't count. One of the first like believable like jacked women that I can remember is Beth Phoenix,
Yep.
who's married to Edge, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
Edge.
Yeah. And like she was, I always thought she was so fucking hot. Yeah. But on top of that, she was actually one time she fireman carried 2 people at once on her
yeah.
shoulders.
Yeah,
Like
I think she was the one. Didn't she eliminate the Great Khali from Royal Rumble
Yeah.
too? She like made out with him on the apron and like dragged him over the top rope.
Yeah.
It was odd.
Great
but-
Khali's like what 7'3" or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's a monster.
He lumbers.
Yeah. He's painful to watch.
Yes, it
So,
is.
Yeah, I remember when he first started, like he was painful
Yeah.
to watch.
He's still
Yep.
around sometimes. So
Can we talk about the Punjabi prison match for a second? Is that the worst ever created match in history?
yeah.
Like without a doubt.
Yeah,
It's
110%.
it's
You
im-
can't even watch it.
Yeah, it's impossible to watch.
What is that? I heard of it somewhere, but I don't actually know what it is. It's like got bamboo sticks or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a really good way to
Have you
explain
seen
it.
a cage match before?
Yeah.
So that cage is bamboo sticks. And do you know the Hell in the Cell?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bamboo sticks. Both of them are one's on the ring, one's outside the ring. So
So it's basically like you have two
Yeah.
cages
and
in
you
a
have
sense.
to get out of the cage part of it by escaping through the doors, and then you have to climb over the outside part to win the match.
Why?
Exactly.
because they needed a stick for the Great Khali.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And wasn't the first match didn't even involve him because he like got scratched
I
from the
think
car?
so. Yeah.
It was
yeah.
Batista and
Like the Big Show
somebody
or
else.
somebody?
Yeah.
And like the Great Khali got scratched from his own match that they created for him.
Yes.
It's like, what? Why didn't you just scratch the match altogether?
Exactly.
Like, well,
They-
because they paid money on the bamboo.
Yeah. They just recently reused it too.
Did they?
Right? We got all this bamboo. What the fuck are we gonna do with it?
Was Khali involved in that one?
Yes.
He
Oh
was
Yeah.
actually. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
10 years later.
Yeah, it was horrible.
But see, your thing of when you say why to a match like that, for like a casual fan or someone who's not a fan, that's all they say. And quite honestly, for someone who watches all the time, I'll still sit there and be like, why are we doing this
Yep.
right now?
You
And
know
why
what?
am I watching?
I might have a worse match in mind. I think there's only ever been one. Al Snow versus
Well, there
the
you
Big
go.
Boss Man.
Yeah.
You remember the match? It was a dog match.
Oh my god.
They
Yeah.
were in a cage,
Yeah.
and there were dogs around. There, it was like the same thing. A
Yeah.
cage.
Yeah.
and
It was like a
on the outside
junkyard
of-
dog kind of thing.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Junkyard dog match.
Yeah.
And there were
Yeah.
junkyard dogs around the outside, but like Al Snow just climbed out the top of the cage, walked across it, and went out. Like,
Yeah.
It was like the most innocuous.
And once again,
thing
you
in
sit there and
history.
you go,
Why?
why?
Well, of course, because the Big Show cut up his dog Pepper and fed it to him.
That's the thing. Like, everybody talks about like the Attitude Era of wrestling was the greatest thing ever. It's like, yeah, it's the greatest thing ever if you focus on the great parts of like like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and
Yeah,
stuff.
and
But
you
then if you look at that stuff and it's just like,
And you forget
it
that Kane was
fucked up.
trying to have sex with like a dead corpse
No,
inside
Triple
of a funeral
H.
home. Or,
Triple
it
H was
Triple H.
trying-
Wait. I'm not familiar with this one because this is what I wanted to do is go around about
Yeah.
some crazy shit no one remembers.
Yeah, there was
Someone explain this to me.
I can't explain it all, but at some point, Kane impregnated Lita, and
Yeah.
then
Yep.
Lita had an abortion.
Yes.
Okay, I remember
well,
that.
no,
Or miscarriage? What was it exactly?
miscarriage.
Yeah,
Yes.
Because
yeah.
Kane bumped into Lita at one point, and
Yeah.
then boom, suddenly.
Yeah.
But what's this about having sex with a dead body?
That was an angle. It was Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
It was like at Kane's.
Who's local, by the way, Triple H.
Yeah, he lived. Yeah.
Yep, New Hampshire, right?
Yeah. So Kane's like mom passed away or something. So it was at the funeral, and Triple H and Kane were in a program at the time, and Triple H got into the casket with Kane's mother and tried to, have some relations with her.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was
What
the first
the
time I
fuck?
realized I was a man when I watched that.
You're like, man, I would still rather have that dead woman than a
Exactly.
man.
Yep.
Well, that reminds me of the time that Big Show's dad died. So the big boss man went to the funeral, hooked the casket up to his vehicle, and then drove around with
Yes.
it.
Well, if you have seen any of the more recent stuff, you would be the biggest fan ever of Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Because he now flips ambulance and flips tractor trailer trucks and all that backstage. So it's probably just as good as anything.
Oh, you mean
that was
like
back
with
then.
his big muscles?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He uses his big cartoon muscles.
For real? Like, was it rigged, or is he like just a
Of course,
strongman?
it's for real.
Yeah. Wrestling's real.
Okay, well, there's strongmen that can do that kind of shit, though. Like,
Well, no,
It's
actually,
definitely not. No.
No, you can. They shoot it at an angle you can't see it, but
I
he
see.
actually it was a former strong man, so
Yeah,
it's
he
not
was.
like
He's
it's
actually-
out of the realm. But like at
Okay.
the same time, you can know it's like
Didn't they have Mark Henry do that once?
Yeah.
Only
I
he
think
like
he did,
really
yeah.
flipped a car.
I think
Yeah.
he did. Yeah.
I think they also
the
had him.
engine was taken out though. So
Well, I mean, still like okay, but still.
he still flipped a fucking car.
I think they also gave him like a frying pan, and he rolled
did.
it
Yes,
up with his
I do
bare
remember
hands.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he still holds a lot of the records for actual powerlifting too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he still holds the squatting record. Or no, that was just recently broken.
But he held like three, like one right after the other, like three like super ones that, and then he quit because he said everybody else was doing steroids and he was the only one natural. But if you,
makes sense.
I don't remember what the stats were, but like when he was like in 7th grade, he was a massive man. He was a full-grown man.
I can
in
only
7th
imagine.
grade. It's ridiculous if you read,
Especially when you go to think back what you were back in 7th grade too.
It's like he's
It's
he's a 5 foot tall, 700-pound man, and he's 7 years old.
Yeah, he's 7 years. That's actually, I just saw an article the other day. It was on Barstool or something, and it was there's this 7th grader or 8th grader who's like an offensive lineman for his school's football team. He's 6'7", 350 pounds.
That's not even real.
It's like he's in 8th grade.
And I think he just signed like a full ride scholarship
yeah,
too.
of course he
so.
did.
Wow.
see that. I saw an article the other day about a volleyball player, and it's a woman's team, and this girl's like 6 foot, like 8,
Yeah.
and she's just towering above everybody, and it's like boom, spiking it down, and she's dominating.
This is a real question. This is where we'll start to get off on tangents.
All right.
Could you have a girl who's taller than you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Especially, I mean,
Yeah?
yeah.
Yeah.
She has to be at the right kind of height, like her hips.
Like, what about?
what's it?
I like that was great visual cue for this audio podcast. Pepin was doing the lowrider bounce.
I don't know what that means. She has to
One
be at the
arm.
right lowrider height.
Like if she bends over, you have to be able to still stick it in. Like you can't be on like
Why?
Okay, so you can't be on your tippy
She
toes.
could bend over from her knees. Like,
Yeah.
come on,
This is
guys,
true.
get creative.
This is true.
Jesus.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. If she's that tall, it's fine. But if you have to like get a little stepping stool to fuck her from behind while she's bending over, that's a problem.
Then I'm gonna buy 15 stepping stools, put one in every room.
You gotta have a travel one too, just in case.
No shit.
I'm gonna have a fold-up stepping stool.
Could you just imagine? Oh, I'm ready. Oh, baby, just let me get my stepping stool real quick. I know you're ready for this, but hold on.
It's like the equivalent of a condom. You got one in your pocket.
Yeah.
It folds out. You
You got to just carry a backpack the whole time.
Right.
All right, I'm ready. Hold on.
It's like the what's that ladder? The little giant. What the hell is it?
Yeah, I think it's
like the
lift-
extendable fucking ladder or something like that.
The
You just
little
have the
giant.
step
It's
stool
like
version of that.
the-
Little giant.
Yeah.
Yes.
The 12 ladders in one.
Oh my god, that would be awesome. Anyways,
So speaking of Mark Henry, and, one of the oh my god. Okay, so we're talking about Mark Henry as sexual chocolate.
Yep.
And there was one scene where he's like at a therapist talking about his sex addiction. And the therapist it's like this little skinny man, and the therapist starts coming on to him, and he's like, sexual, come back, sexual. Like not calling him Mark, not calling him sexual
Sometimes
chocolate.
you have to sit there and remind yourself this is all wrestling.
Yeah.
This is involved.
Just calling him sexual was what got me. And then he starts a relationship with Mae Young,
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. She gave birth to a hand.
and she gets
That's right.
pregnant.
Yeah, to a hand.
And she gives birth to a slime covered mannequin hand. Is that the weirdest? Is that the weirdest
that
of all
has to
time?
be up
That's
there.
probably up there. Yeah.
And Mark Henry just got inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
and
about time.
I am a little upset that he did not mention that hand at all.
There was probably for fucking
You know,
reason.
the person who introduced him should have been somebody in a hand costume.
Who was it that introduced him? Because they each have their own person who does
can't
that.
remember
I don't
now.
even remember either.
Farouk.
Wow.
Probably.
Just a guess. Farouk was awesome, but
Damn.
yes, when he just started doing damn, like
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Pepin totally gave that look like, yeah, I know what that means.
Wrestling.
I was gonna say that the Mark Henry moment with the hand and Mae Young, that's kind of like I knew wrestling was fake before that.
And then that's where you. So that's what did it for you.
Now I know it's fake. Now I know.
Now I
That's the moment when the slimy mannequin hand came out of Mae
he
Young's
didn't-
vagina.
Yeah. He didn't mention. He had to think about it for a while. Just like, wait a minute. Is that
just-
possible?
She seemed a little too old to have a baby.
it wasn't even the hand. It was just her age.
It's her age. The hand had nothing to do with it.
Her eggs can't still be good. What the hell?
Well, there was also a time that Baba Ray Dudley did a power bomb
Yep.
off
Yes,
the
off the
stage,
stage, yeah.
through a table to Mae Young.
And I remember, I think for the next 3 months, she was in a neck brace.
No, she was in a
after
neck
that.
brace before that.
Was
Yeah.
it? Was it?
Yeah.
She already was.
She
Okay,
was.
Yeah.
He's
Maybe even a wheelchair? I don't remember.
probably.
Yeah, I think so.
All of the
Yeah.
above.
Like he
Love,
wrecked her, and there's also a rumor that right as he was about to jump, she ripped ass in his face.
Yeah, there was a rumor of that, and then she also told him, she basically called him a fucking pussy because he didn't want to. He
Yeah.
didn't want to do it, and she was like, "You're gonna powerbomb me through this fucking table, you little bitch."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yes, ma'am."
He said because he has his own Sirius XM show, and he said that it was just like, now don't treat me like any of these other women or like these other pussies. Basically, it was like you powerbomb me like a man. It was like he's like, yes, ma'am.
Yes, man.
Jesus Christ. Now come in the fishbowl. Oh, okay, yes, I'll do it.
So the hand is one of the weirdest things that ever happened on pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Give me some more that you guys remember.
I'm trying to think. Probably not weird in a sense, but just something you probably won't ever see again was probably Edge and Lita's live sex party
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Raw. Yeah. I was gonna say everyone pretty much knows that.
Oh
one.
yeah.
Nipple popped out on that one.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something else. I think they tried it. They did like a strip tease like the following week because it got interrupted.
Yeah.
But that was normal at the time. With
I don't know,
stripping.
anything spanning from 96 to 02 was just fucking weird.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, I got one for you. Moppy. Oh, you guys remember Moppy?
Oh,
Yeah, I do remember Moppy.
Was it Perry Saturn? Yeah, his.
Who wants to explain Moppy to Pepin?
I don't.
I remember Moppy a little bit. I don't quite. So Perry Saturn was from the WCW or something.
Yep.
Moved over.
Yeah,
He was part of the Radicals.
And then-
Eddie Guerrero, Perry Saturn.
Chris Benoit,
was-
Dean
yeah.
Malenko.
One
Chris
of the
Benoit
very-
didn't
one-
exist.
Yeah.
One of the
Forgot.
very odd WCW things, as usual.
Perry Saturn could work. I guess it was one of
He
those
was
things.
a Green Beret.
Yeah,
True.
Like Perry
Yeah.
Saturn could could have been good. I mean, he botched a lot of his moves.
Oh
Yeah.
He was,
He would always attempt to hurt people.
yeah, but
more
like,
often than not.
I think what happened was Perry Saturn hurt somebody and like on purpose. So they were punishing him. So they made him do this gag where he had like head damage, like brain injury, and he kept saying like "thank you" and "dungaroos are fun to wear, thank you."
Yeah, they
Something like
basically
that.
turned him into like a mental case from that
literally.
point on.
So he was carrying around a mop with a face drawn on it, and he called it Moppy. And at one point, it got kidnapped because who was he dating at the time? What's her name?
Sunny? Was it Sunny
No.
Moore? No.
No, it was blonde big tits. That's not Trish Stratus.
Blonde
Well,
big
there's
tits.
about
Well, it
four
could have been
others.
Sable. Could have
No,
been
not Sable.
Could have
Sable
been
was
Tori
hot.
Wilson.
Deborah.
I think it was
could be.
Tori. I think it was
Oh,
Tori.
I think it was
they
in her
were-
early
yeah.
parts.
Yeah, when
Yep.
Tori was kind of just coming to, and they were together before he had the head injury.
Yep.
Then he got it, so she wanted to like get out of there. So he was carrying around Moppy, and she's like, "You need to choose me or Moppy," and he literally chose Moppy over
Yeah.
her.
Yep.
And then he gets stolen. Moppy gets stolen. So he goes to the hurricane and he finds this like ransom note, and the hurricane's trying to help, and it's like, it's not me, but here's your lead. Ends up Raven stole Moppy
Of course, Raven did.
because he's working with Terry to get rid of Moppy pretty much, and then he runs Moppy through a wood chipper.
So this is like we're used to
Total
wrestling
wrestling.
stories. So for you, is this just sounds like the dumbest stuff ever, right?
Well, I see. I went through. So I watched wrestling when I was a kid, so some of this stuff I remember, but it's like vaguely recollecting it. It's like, did I really watch this fucking shit?
There was
Like,
also a
what?
scene where he goes to the police and he files a police report, and you see written down the full name of the mop. It's Moppy Q McMopperson. That was the best storyline they could come up with. For
And that's
Barry
just
Sanders.
totally one of those moments where you sit back and it is just what was I doing with my life at that time where that's what I was watching on TV?
The worst part is like you're like, yeah, that was fun, and then you look back and you're like, I actually liked that. What's wrong with me?
Yep. I wish they would revisit Moppy at some point.
They should bring it back.
Yeah.
No, she was run through maybe Moppy has a sister.
Anything's
Ooh,
possible
yeah.
at this point.
Let's bring back Perry Saturn, everybody.
No, God, no.
I got Perry Saturn and the whole Moppy thing mixed up with Al Snow, apparently.
Oh, because everyone wants head.
Because
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
Al Snow's ever done is ridiculous.
Yes.
I didn't get that. What does everyone want? Head. I didn't get that joke until I was like, 20 or so.
Oh
And
no, yeah.
It's like, oh wait, he was actually making, and he went, oh, that's why my mom didn't like him. Okay.
That's why my mom didn't
That's
like
why I
it.
wasn't allowed to watch Al Snow.
Of all the reasons. Wait, weren't you an ECW guy?
No, I wasn't.
That's how I always knew you when we were
Why?
growing up. Because one time you were watching it.
I mean, I
The one time he happened
That
by
one
it.
time. And I had never heard of ECW. I had only ever heard of WWF.
yeah, they're doing like the reboot of it. Like I heard about it with other people saying it was like more extreme, but it wasn't on my DirecTV channel list or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I couldn't watch it. But they rebooted it with Kane won the title or something, the first
Yeah,
match, and
yeah.
so I watched those episodes, and it was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reboot is stupid, so you're right in that realm. So
Yeah, every time they try to
except for they brought in CM Punk, which is like one of the best wrestlers
that's
ever.
like one of the best wrestlers ever, but he's probably like the most polarizing
Oh, yeah.
guy that's been in the company ever since then. So
Hey, Pepin.
Yo.
Do you usually subscribe to entire podcasts, or do you look for specific topics?
Well, I try using the search function on my podcast player on my phone. It doesn't work too well. Try using Google. Google, it's not really set up for it, so I honestly have trouble.
Why don't you just use Listen Notes?
Listen Notes. What's that?
It's a search engine for podcasts that doesn't just search for the terms you're looking for in the title of the episode or the title of the podcast, but from inside the episode itself. Meaning if you're looking for a specific topic, you can find specific podcast episodes that are about that topic.
You know, that sounds a lot easier than spending the hours and hours I have just trying to find the exact right keywords to actually get it to bring up the episode. I mean, usually I just get like a million how to start your own podcast articles. It's really annoying. So that sounds a lot better.
Exactly. When you're looking for something to listen to, just go to listennotes.com, Type in a topic you're interested in, and you'll get instant gratification, useful results. That's listennotes.com. Check it out now.
Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, those were
Yep.
two wrestlers I saw from
Yep.
ECW
Yep.
that were really good.
Yeah.
Tommy Dreamer's still around.
Yeah, he
too.
still wrestles, and Sabu is just like...
RVD 420.
There it is. I'm over here doing thumbs at myself.
He was awesome with the 5-star park splash.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
did.
you
And
could
then
do
he-
that like across the whole ring, and, it
And
was
like to put
awesome.
it, the total damper note on it is he's basically like almost brain dead now. Yeah.
I think they were
How does RVD get almost brain dead, but McFoley's writing bestsellers?
Right, exactly. I don't know.
some of the stories you hear McFoley went through and stuff like that.
God.
It's
How he's still alive is like amazing. Well, then you hear some of the stories about Ric Flair and all that, and it's like, how the fuck
Yeah.
is this guy still walking?
yeah. Somehow.
Didn't Ric Flair get the Jim Ross fired?
I think so. I think there was a
Yeah.
story
Because
about
he was
that,
like
yeah.
unruly at a live event, at a live panel, because he was fucking drunk.
I
And
actually-
Jim
yeah.
Ross didn't do anything to calm him down, so they fired Jim Ross over it?
Yeah, and I think it was like they were trying to say Jim Ross was drunk too, and Jim Ross had like one drink. And, it was
Yeah,
just like,
and this is
"Oh,
coming from
okay."
the dude in Ric Flair who would get hammered like every night and bang like 40 chicks,
Yeah.
and then just wake up and do it all the following day.
And they were
So-
saying like Jim Ross was slurring his speech. Didn't
But
he?
Jim Ross
He has a-
permanently
he has-
slurs
yeah.
his speech.
Doesn't he have he has like a medical condition
Yes.
that like makes it so he can't not slur his
It's only
speech.
like half his mouth is just completely numb and can't really close
Yep,
it. So
yep.
you'd be slurring your words too.
So, oh my god! I mean, they've made a lot of decisions that are like really questionable, at least ethic wise. Like,
Oh yeah.
Well, it still carries over to this day. Is like Vince McMahon still runs everything, and there's just a lot of shit
Well,
that
the-
he'll choose, and it's just
They're still doing it as of what, 2 weeks ago they had the greatest Royal Rumble where like the Prince of Saudi Arabia just wanted wrestling like done in Saudi Arabia, and at one point they brought down one of the like Iranian wrestlers that like wrestle for WWE and was running down Saudi Arabia, and the wrestler from WWE had to come out on Twitter and be like, it was an act. Can we stop with the death threats? Like I am getting death threats, and this is just a character I play.
like it's still one of those. We're in 2018, and one of Vince McMahon's go-to characters is if you're foreign in any way, shape, or form, you have to hate America,
Yep.
and so it will never end at that point.
who was the guy who was from that area?
You're
Back in like 2000, 1990.
Is that
who would have been?
I can't remember the guy's name, but like the second like 9/11 happened, he was disappeared.
I was
He was gone.
yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking about too.
because fun fact, like
Muhammad
right,
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He had a
that sounds
program at
right.
one point with like
Son.
Hulk Hogan at one of the WrestleManias.
and Undertaker.
Yeah.
At one point, he had Undertaker taken
Was it
out
Muhammad
with,
Hussein?
Yeah,
Was
I
that
think
his name?
so.
I think that was
Yeah,
his
I
name. or
believe that's his
something like
name.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it
That
was.
sounds right.
And he had the little manager guy
Yeah.
as well. I think that was him.
Yeah, because I remember he was gone right after 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
and like a few weeks before that, he had like a skit with the Undertaker. He was taken out by like assassins and stuff like that, and it was just like, hey, yeah, none of that happened. All right.
He was actually not Arab either. He wasn't like Muslim or
No.
I forget what he was, but
It's like a white guy.
he's like
Tanned a lot.
He's from
Italian
like
or something like that.
Fairville, Iowa.
Yeah.
Well, they have a guy right now in Jinder Mahal who they try to pass off as being from India, but he's Canadian.
He's Canadian. Yeah.
He's from like Quebec or something like
Yeah.
that.
But he's got a little bit of Indian descent, so they're like, no, he's full blown Indian.
No, he's full blown Indian,
Yeah.
and he hates America and death to America.
Oh, naturally, because
Yeah.
that's exactly what all Indians. do.
Yeah, it's because we always have had a problem with India.
Oh man. So underrated wrestlers. I want to talk about underrated wrestlers. Talk to me about some. I'm gonna throw out a name.
Yeah.
Everybody hates this wrestler. Everybody, especially at the time.
I'm curious.
Even when they were a part of one of the most popular groups in history, X-Pac.
Yeah,
X-Pac Heat.
yeah. He still wrestles to this day.
Yeah, he does.
actually.
I
Yeah.
think that guy was one of the most, at least at the time that I was watching, was one of the most underrated wrestlers because nobody could compete with him.
It's true.
Yeah, it really is.
In 97 Nitro,
Here we fuck.
he's the current cruiserweight champion.
Oh, hold on. No. You do not get away with. That just mentioning a name and then you freaking out about it. You got to explain why.
He is absolutely fucking obsessed with WCW and his old 97 to 98
has to be 1997
Monday
to
Night
1998.
Nitros.
Yeah.
He brings them up 24/7. So basically what it is he watches the most dog shit television programming that's ever existed.
Yeah.
And he's fucking fascinated
Because
by it.
1997 Nitro and 98 Nitro, that was like, they call it the ratings wars, when it was like WCW and WWE were doing about the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you watch that nowadays, it's completely the wild, wild west, where it was just like random people were showing up, random people were coming into
so
the
fucking
ring,
stupid.
and the matches were horrible. So it's just funny to watch. Like, I'll binge watch like 4 or 5 episodes.
And how he does it, I have zero idea because there's no entertainment value to it whatsoever.
So I bring them up I bring those up, like the episodes up on the podcast all the time. He just doesn't
There's
like
two
it.
things that create dead air with us. It's when he brings up any sort of Nitros or the name Mojo Rawley, who's one of the wrestlers right now. He'll literally bring them up, and I completely just turn away from the microphone, and I just fucking let him go at it for like 5 minutes. It's awful.
Now, I had heard that quite a bit, that like Nitro wasn't actually being run like appropriately. Like it was the
Hulk Hogan.
the wrestlers like just doing whatever they wanted.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
why.
wild.
Which is basically why it was rundowns and people. It was like a free for all.
So that was the NWO, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the time the NWO was like top of the world. Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott
Razor
Hall.
Ramon.
Yeah.
Or did he become Razor Ramon when he came to the WWE?
Well,
I think he was Razor
He was
Ramon.
Razor Ramon in WWE, and then when he went over to WCW, he was like, "Well, I'm just going to use my real name."
Was he still like the toothpick and walking?
Oh,
around
yeah,
the-
Pretty much same character.
Yep.
Yeah, just different name.
Yep. Still calling himself the bad guy, but it's Scott Hall. So
Yeah. So he was Scarface. Is that what he's
Yeah,
trying to get
Pretty
at?
much.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's how he got Razor Ramon. Just watched Scarface and was like, "I could do this," and then pitched it to like Vince McMahon and stuff.
And
was
he
like,
did.
Yep.
And he did do it.
I
Garrett's
just,
over here still shaking his head.
fucking the fact that we got the Nitro.
It's perfect.
It always
We had
ends
to
up
get to
that way.
Nitro. So we're talking underrated. I think X-Pac was extremely underrated. Everybody hated him even when he was in DX.
Yep.
And everybody loved DX. DX couldn't do anything wrong. But X-Pac was there and they always chanted against him anyway.
Uh-huh.
Who else fits kind of in that?
Well, I'm gonna agree that X-Pac sucks. I only know him from DX and stuff, and he always was this kind of like, bleh. Like maybe it's because Triple H was there, and no, Triple H hogs the spotlight a
Yeah,
lot.
he does. Yeah.
Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Like,
Yeah.
So how do you stand next to those two?
To me, X-Pac was like the Spike Dudley of like the.
That's like a perfect way to put it.
No. Spike is a goddamn garbage can. X-Pac could hold his own.
It's true.
X-Pac could wrestle circles around most
Oh, yeah,
people.
he could. Yeah.
But I think they call it X-Pac heat because he had the right friends with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, so he was getting all the pushes and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really, like,
Well, he was, but he wasn't. There was no light heavyweight, which, by the way, doesn't mean anything.
No.
There was no featherweight division at the time, so he didn't have anybody in his weight class to wrestle. He was wrestling people who were 100 pounds heavier than him, like a foot taller than him,
Yeah.
and trying to compete. And a lot of times he was competing,
Yeah.
which is
Yep.
mind-blowing in itself. I think he's one of the most underrated.
Yeah.
Who do you guys have for underrated?
Rusev right now.
Current,
Rusev Day.
yeah, for current stuff,
Yeah.
Rusev. I always, for kind of back in the day, even though they gave him a title shot here and there and all that stuff, and mindful of what he ended up doing with his life, I always thought Chris Benoit
Yeah,
was
he
one
was-
of the underrated
As far as
guys.
technical wrestling
Technical
goes?
wrestling. Oh yeah, him
Yep.
and Dean Malenko probably one.
Talk
of the
about
same.
97 Nitro.
Corey just threw
that's
Garrett back in his
Fucking
chair.
leave this out of
Yeah.
it. God.
No,
But when
he's the bright spot in 97 Nitro.
Well, yeah, when you want to talk about actual technical in-ring wrestling, I think Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko don't get as much credit as they should. Obviously, Chris Benoit doesn't get it anymore because
He doesn't exist.
He doesn't exist in anyone's minds because he decided to murder his whole family. But at least just in-ring shit, it was definitely Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko.
I mean, I agree with Benoit. I was never a huge fan of Malenko. Maybe I didn't see him in a lot of good matches. He didn't get the shakes he deserved.
A lot of
but-
people never got off on Malenko because he didn't have a character. He was just all about the wrestling, but there was nothing to him like
Well, so was
promo
Benoit.
wise.
So was Benoit. I mean, he was all about the wrestling, and he still managed to get over. Now he did he did become, the Rabid Wolverine, and he had that vicious attitude that kind of drove him. But I think Pepin would argue that being able to have a character and have some showmanship is part of being a good wrestler.
Massive part of it, yeah.
Yeah, the argument I make is that, like, Chris Benoit, he wasn't able to sell himself necessarily, but he was able to sell other people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, like, Kurt Angle, to make Kurt Angle look good, you put him against
Yep.
Chris Benoit, because no one else can really go against Kurt Angle.
By the way,
And
one of
they
the
put
greatest
on one
matches
of,
I've
yeah,
ever
just
seen.
about to say, yeah. They put on one of the greatest matches ever.
That was a WrestleMania, right? I think so.
Believe it was, yeah.
Well,
Either that or a
they
Royal
faced
Rumble
each other
or something.
plenty of times anyway.
I guess that's where, and we always get into fun little debates like that. In a sense, is you kind of have to tote that line in a sense of it's either who was underrated wrestlers for in-ring stuff or entertainers in general. So it's kind of that toss-up of, okay, well, he was really amazing in the ring, but did he bring this character-wise? And that's kind of the shit that they fall into all the time. Because, like, right now, there are certain guys that can be great characters, but they suck in the ring, or vice versa.
Well, I mean, you got the Hardys. Like, they had no character.
Exactly.
They
It was
couldn't
just
do
all
mic work
in-ring
to save
crazy
their life.
shit. Yeah.
But their wrestling is what pushed them over because they were extreme.
Yeah.
But you're going against Edge and Christian, who could work a fucking mic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they competed on really even playing field.
Yeah.
Which those are still some of the best matches to this
Yeah,
day.
the WrestleMania 17 match where it was
Dudley's.
where Hardy got speared from the actual belt itself up top.
Oh,
and everything.
yeah, that
it's
was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. That entire match was one of the greatest.
Yeah, they still tote it as one of the best matches that WWE's ever put on in general.
If you go back and watch it now, because we're used to now they give like matches much more time nowadays.
yeah.
If you go back and watch that match right now, it goes by like quickly.
and it's a masterpiece. When
and
you go
I think
back
it's
and
only
watch
like
it.
13 minutes long, and
So
they
it's-
have all
it's
that
not very
stuff.
long at all. Yeah.
It's just crazy to think of like the time limits that they had all those years back.
I came up with my pick.
All right, I want to hear.
So this match is actually like the only match I've really thought about like after the fact, like years later, and it makes me think this person's underrated. Maybe they're not, but Shane McMahon, and the match that kind of changed from made me think he was awesome was him versus Kurt Angle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
the
street
King of the
fight.
Ring.
Yes.
Street fight. Yeah.
Something like that. And there's the part where he gets like thrown through the glass.
Yeah.
He doesn't break and
Took a
then
couple attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that match was just like so incredible, and I know Kurt Angle was probably the main one, kind of making that match
Yeah,
work.
yep.
But the fact that Shane McMahon actually looked good, like to me, I thought that match was gonna be terrible because Shane McMahon wouldn't be able to like hold himself against Kurt Angle,
Yep.
or he's just like too low down there. But that match, I don't know. I still remember that match.
Yeah,
it was
and
awesome.
We've had the talk a couple times because they still have Shane McMahon do a kind of a gimmick match every now and then for like a really big spot. Like he had his one with The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell, I think 2 years ago now, where everyone knew it was for the sole purpose that he was going to jump off the top of the cell and go through a table.
That's a Shane McMahon.
That's
special.
a total Shane McMahon thing. Yeah.
There's actually a few stories behind the Shane McMahon Kurt Angle match because the guy that was setting up the like Titantron with like the sugar glass that he was supposed to go through, he set it up on the wrong one. He got fired because it
Because of course.
it didn't go through the right one and stuff like that. And I guess there was 2 different times like at that point where Shane McMahon was supposed to go through the glass. He was yelling at the referee to stop the match because they were hurting Shane too much. And Shane was like, if you stop this match, like I'm going to walk out.
Yeah.
Like he was like, this was all like whispers and stuff, but like they were supposed to stop that match multiple times because Vince is like couldn't watch it anymore. And it just shows how much like Shane like actually puts into wrestling, even though he's not.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of
a
a
wrestler.
good. I never would have thought of Shane McMahon as being kind of an underrated thing, but it does make sense when you think about it because when you go back and look at the history of it, is he's probably been involved in some of the biggest like high spot gimmicky matches that there's been, and it's Shane McMahon's name is attached to those matches when it really comes down to it at the end of the day.
I definitely don't agree that Shane McMahon deserves accolades for the things that he did. I wouldn't put him as underrated because I think people are willing to give him the credit that he deserves.
Yeah.
And not more or less than what he deserves.
Yeah.
Versus somebody like an Xbox who everybody hates, even though like he was like if you go back and watch his matches, he was entertaining.
Yeah. Everyone just fucking hates him.
X-Pac fanboy.
Hey, listen, okay? If X-Pac sucks, then a lot of other people suck too.
He's gonna start scratching his arm. He's got like an X-Pac tattoo. Right there.
Yeah. You're gonna like him whether you like him or not.
Maybe not X-Pac, but maybe 1-2-3 Kid. He's pretty good too.
Oh, fuck 1, 2, 3.
Or 6-Pac. He's pretty good too.
Yeah, no shit.
Those are all different names for X-Pac.
How about Bob Holly? Hardcore Holly.
I didn't like him.
I was
Are
never
you
a
kidding
fan.
me?
I was never a fan.
Oh my god, he could work so well. He made every other person look so good.
This was the weird part of me. It was because of his trunks that he wore to the ring.
His bicycle shorts?
Yeah, I can never become a fan of the whole bicycle short, like boxers kind of thing that he had going
Bob
on.
Holly
And
is
that
one
just
of
did
my
it for me.
favorite wrestlers of all time.
He did the Alabama Slam.
The Alabama
which I
Slam's
love.
an awesome move.
That always looks like it hurts.
Yeah.
Always.
Yep.
I imagine that's probably one of the ones that he would use to like induct people into the.
Oh, yeah.
It
He's
would
like,
perfect.
oh, you're new. Face Bob Holly. If you can
Yep.
face Bob Holly and come out of that one, still wanting to
Welcome
wrestle.
to the locker room.
Exactly. And
I mean, I will say he was good in the ring, but he just never did it for me.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
It was never one of those things where I was like, oh, I got to go watch that. It's like, okay. Bob Holly's-
Man, I loved Bob Holly, and
I'm trying to think
Plus,
underrated at that time.
They perpetually put him in that like hardcore title scene, and he could have been so much more than just
That
hardcore title scene.
that I agree with
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean, that was kind of his character, was hardcore
Yeah.
Holly, and they needed some people to be in that division because
Yeah.
it was
and they
like,
always had the same like 8 guys.
who can
in that
fight Mick
division
Foley in a
anyways.
hardcore?
Exactly.
Nobody can do that. When Rhino was in it, that was pretty badass because Rhino was a fucking
He's still
beast.
wrestling.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He is.
Who's he
he's-
wrestle for now? Like IHW?
No, he's on Monday Night Raw.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's. We talked about him last week. He's now, his body has taken a very weird form where he is literally a square peg with fucking legs.
Yes.
Now.
Okay,
it's
so
the
he's still
strangest
Rhino.
thing.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it's absolutely, his body is so abnormal.
That's awesome.
Listen, you want? I'm just gonna round out Bob Holly here.
Yeah.
Hardcore Holly versus Kurt Angle, one of the greatest matches I've seen for a regular Raw match.
Really? No shit. Just a regular old Raw match.
Just
huh?
a regular match, and
I'll have
it
to look
was
that up.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They sell together so
Mm-hmm.
well. Like I tweeted at Bob Holly, and I was like, "Were you guys like just actually hitting each other so you didn't have to sell it?"
Right.
And he's like, "No, we just did a really good job
Yeah.
in that match." I'm like,
Yeah.
"I think that is an amazing match."
Now,
Highly suggested.
can you go that far saying it's both of them working that well or just Kurt Angle? Because Kurt Angle,
Well, I was about to say, I almost wonder if you could sit there and say Kurt Angle as one of the most like underrated guys, because when you sit back and realize how much he brought to the table as a wrestler and for that company, he was
But still, he won. He was undisputed champ, heavy,
Yeah.
like intercontinental. He was everything.
Yeah, he's.
But I guess he's a guy you could have made the face of your company.
They did for a
But
while.
he just, I think he was at the same time with like Stone Cold and them.
He
so-
was, and he was still competing with them.
Yeah.
Like they immediately
Yeah.
threw him right to
Yeah.
the top. Like
And then once he started getting addicted to pills and stuff, that's when they were like,
Well, you know,
hey.
that's just a whole different. Yeah.
so the usual.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Got it.
Something with him with milk, if I remember right.
Yes.
Like-
So they had the old Stone Cold Steve Austin one time came in with a beer truck, and I don't know if it was a couple
it had
years
to be.
later. Or
Yeah.
It was afterwards. He basically came in with a milk truck and sprayed everyone down.
And he would do the same thing with milk that Stone Cold would do with beers, like slap them together. And
Kurt Angle was definitely one of those where he ended up being an amazing wrestler and character.
Oh, yeah.
all at once.
He was one of the best heels.
Oh, yeah.
that I ever saw because I liked him as
Yep.
a heel.
Yep.
It was so perfect.
He was kind of the first of his time when he did
Yeah.
that. A heel that you actually enjoyed watching, because they used to do the classic heels where it's like, all right, just get this guy off my fucking television
Yeah.
screen. But now, even nowadays, they have a lot of guys where they're heels, but everybody loves them to death.
yeah,
So,
they get bigger pops than most of like the fan favorites.
Yeah.
I saw a Kurt Angle compilation, and one of the things he did was a rap battle against John Cena,
Oh my!
and he's not bad. I can't say. I mean, he's
Yeah.
pretty good.
You remember when
the-
John Cena first came out at that
Oh,
Royal
yeah.
Rumble rapping?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, that was rough. That was so hard.
Actually,
to
we were
listen to.
just listening on the way
Thugonomics.
here. Someone do their own like version of
Yeah.
the Thugonomics themes. Oh god, what a terrible thing for your ears to listen
John
to.
Cena came out with an album.
Yeah, he did. Some people forget that. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so glad I forgot that.
check it out.
So I definitely want to talk some of the worst gimmicks or worst wrestlers you've ever seen. I want to start with gimmicks for sure. Let's start fairly tame. Who you got for a bad gimmick? Just a general bad gimmick.
General bad gimmick. It's more recent, so I don't know if you ever saw it. You might have. Stardust.
Okay, yeah. That's Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing wrestler. Like, love him to death. But that Stardust, I mean, he made that Stardust, like, popular and stuff, but that was hands down, like, the worst gimmick ever.
So that was just him being brothers with Goldust.
Yeah.
Which is like the
you could
real life
easily,
thing.
yeah. They're really, like, half brothers, but you could easily not have them in full makeup and bodysuit and everything.
Listen, if you're going to go hard, you're going to go hard.
Yeah. He had like the nice cartwheel, and then he had the gloves with the star on it and everything.
I mean, Goldust paved the way for that. Man, that's like there's so many layers to paving the way with Gold and with Rhodes and Anyway, Goldust paved the way because Goldust was doing this weird fucking shit way back in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Where he was cross-dressing and there was like one where he divorced his wife. He broke up with his wife and like made a huge deal about it live during a pay-per-view, like walked out of the ring in the middle of it. Like it
Really
was
weird.
That was early 90s too.
Then he also had like the ball gag on and stuff.
Yeah,
And leash
yeah.
and stuff.
Do you remember?
This was like before the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he came out as the artist formerly known as Goldust?
Yes.
Yep.
And he read Dr. Seuss? He
Yeah.
read the entire Green Eggs and Ham.
He has had like 4 midlife crises in his career.
And
Yeah.
they were more like midlife successes. They propelled him into the pop culture.
And he's still actually around to this day.
He's still in the zeitgeist.
I think my worst gimmick, when I was really thinking about it, was fucking Gangrel.
Oh God, Gangrel.
The
He's still-
vampire
he's
gimmick.
still wrestling, too.
He's
Yeah.
still...
He's like 40 something.
Wow.
He's
he
with
does-
Luna, right? Or he was at
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
I don't know.
Luna
The second he
Vachon.
disappeared off TV, I was very happy.
Gangrel,
So.
Christian and Edge were with
Christian
him.
and Edge.
They
And
were-
then the Hardy Boys were with him for a little while.
And then
too.
they were all part of the Ministry of Darkness
Yep.
with The Undertaker.
Yep.
Or run by McMahon, as it were. Spoilers.
It was me, Austin.
It was me, Austin. Wait. Can we just go over something real quick? So, Triple H is married to Stephanie McMahon
Yes.
In real life, yeah.
in real life, but in canon for the show, he drugged her,
Absolutely. Took her to Vegas.
took her to Vegas, and they're still happily married to this day with kids.
Yep.
It's a true love story.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, so you guys
Better
might
than
have
Twilight.
It is better than Twilight.
Yeah.
Wait. Would Gangrel be a part of Twilight or?
Oh, yeah. 110%.
yeah, he would just be like one of those filler vampires in the back.
okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I got you. So, fuck. What was I saying? So much good conversation. I fucking love this. Okay, so they're married canon. Now Vince McMahon broke up with wanted to divorce Linda McMahon, and they turned that into like a whole thing. Was that
Possible
him?
incest storyline. Yeah.
Oh God, was he turning that? No, because that was Trish Stratus, wasn't it?
For a while,
We
but
had
then
coming?
they had one angle that they did for like a week or two where there was a possible that he wanted to basically be Trump and like
I was gonna say that sounds like
reference
Trump.
dating his own. Yeah. Yep.
That's fucked. I mean, Stephanie McMahon is fucking hot, but
Yeah. Yep.
so
Anyways.
I hope I get to interview her someday.
Right.
Now I'm stuck
She'll
on
definitely
Stephanie
come back
McMahon
to
now.
this episode
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
here.
You remember the time that Chris Jericho, who by the way is amazing, came out with a coconut cream pie cake and the Planet of the Apes monkeys and threw it in Stephanie McMahon's face?
Yes.
It was a Planet of the Apes promo.
With
Some of the stuff they decided.
in my eyes, though, Chris Jericho can do no wrong.
Oh, he
Whatever
can't do
he
any
does.
wrong
amazing.
anymore. No,
He is
no.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be controversial here.
Uh-oh.
I love Chris Jericho, but worst gimmick Y2J. What when
Not
was
a big
that?
fan of the Y2J.
You take that back.
I get.
Break the walls down.
What was it about?
Yeah, come on.
What was the gimmick?
Let's break his walls down. Let's do this.
It was all about the turn of the century,
Yeah,
man.
it was
what the hell?
because he originally came out in 2000 with the turn of Y2K.
Yeah.
He had the countdown to,
Yeah, it was.
What-
What
what's-
a bigger spot to debut yourself was The Rock was having a promo in the middle of the ring. Mm-hmm. The counter ended right in the middle of his promo.
Did
and
you
it's
not see his
Y2J.
ponytail that he was wearing that night?
Yeah,
too?
it was right on the top of his
I mean,
head.
come on.
I get that was the introduction. Maybe that part worked, but why did he keep with it? Like,
Because it fucking caught fire, bro.
Yeah.
Break the walls down.
They still
You run with that shit until it don't work no more.
they still chant that to this day at
Yeah.
random points.
Yeah.
Y2J.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all you need to say is just break the walls down, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Break the walls down.
but the gimmick is that he came I don't know what the gimmick is.
Exactly.
That he's the equivalent of Y2K.
Yeah.
He completely changed everything. He wiped the slate clean, and everything was built upon him. That was his gimmick.
That makes sense. I like
just
that.
made that up, but it makes sense.
You know,
So-
it makes sense
I
when
was
you
like,
think about
oh,
it at the end of the day. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah.
I take it back.
So was the Vince McMahon breaking up with Linda McMahon a real thing?
No, it was totally storyline. Or
Holy shit.
kayfabe, as they would
Man,
call it.
McMahon put his entire life into this company.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
and his family, like, oh man, Linda McMahon's a genius too. To be fair,
And now she holds a spot.
I was going to say, she's in the
U.S.
government
government.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's the director of small business.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. The second she got appointed, I bought stock in WWE,
There you go.
and it's
Right.
done extremely well since. So I've made some money on that.
I'm a secret millionaire now. Yeah.
Well, no, we don't go that far, but
Don't tell
I
anybody.
made like
Yeah.
$3 or $4.
Yeah, so whatever. It all works.
So worst gimmicks. All right, I'll throw one out there that's pretty bad. Do you guys remember the zombie? He came out for one match. He was literally just a zombie, and I think it was
remember this.
ECW. And he came out and he was like, working.
Yeah,
That's how we work the mic.
Yeah,
You know, the
remember
more
what
and more you
happened?
talk about it, I remember.
Do you remember what happened?
Yeah, so there was the first match.
The
in
only
EC
match?
First and only match in ECW was the premiere of ECW, the new reboot, I believe.
yeah.
And then I think it was Tommy Dreamer that came
No,
out. With
Well, of course it was the
Who was
no
it?
boot.
Sandman.
Sandman? Sandman. That's the guy with the
God,
beers, right?
Sandman.
Yeah. Yep.
He had to smash beers against his
Kendo
head. Okay,
stick
yeah.
and everything,
Okay,
yeah.
you beat the shit out of him.
One of the worst actual wrestlers ever. He
came-
just beat the shit out of
He
people.
came out second story, chugged 2 beers, smashed
Smash 'em.
them against his head till he was bleeding, jumped down. The fans caught him. He ran out to the ring with a kendo stick, walked into the ring up to the zombie. The zombie turned around and he beat the ever loving shit out of that guy for 30 seconds straight.
But that was also basically a Sandman match at that point.
Yeah, I mean it was, but he broke the kendo stick over the guy's head.
God.
It was one of the most devastating things I've
So you're
ever
basically
seen.
watching murder.
You were
Yeah.
basically watching murder.
I'll have to watch it at some point.
Now thinking of
Kinda
the
interested.
zombie, there was the Yeti, which was just someone dressed up in a horrible costume.
You know, now that you're bringing this
and
up,
Giant Gonzalez.
a giant Gonzalez in his
Yeah.
bodysuit.
Yes, it was a full blown bodysuit where you could see like the muscles spray painted on and everything.
Oh my god! And he faced the Undertaker.
He faced the Undertaker. I think it was like WrestleMania 3 or something like
So
that.
it was really, really.
And then,
early.
of course,
Yeah.
the greatest one ever, the Shockmaster.
Oh God, man! I was hoping we wouldn't get there.
Who's the Shockmaster? I've never heard of that
The
one.
Shockmaster, he made
You're better off to just leave it.
the
at that.
greatest appearance ever in
Ever.
in WCW.
Oh, here we
They built him up for so
Yeah.
long. They were like, "There's this new secret guy who's coming out,"
It's almost like Glacier.
and he was going to be on whose team? It was like some superstar.
Bret Hart, Ric Flair, Sting. This was like before '97, I think. But he was supposed to like join their team to fight someone, and he makes his appearance. He breaks down the wall.
Hey, there you go.
He breaks the wall.
He breaks through
Break
a
the wall
wall
down,
on a
man.
talk show.
and trips, and his helmet falls off because it's a
It's a stormtrooper, and it's spray painted silver
Yeah.
with like bedazzled all over.
yes.
Now I'm remembering this.
It falls off. Half the wrestlers on the camera have to turn around because they start laughing.
So he
And then-
basically Titus O'Neill'd it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And he gets up and puts it on, and then that's about it. That's like the last you saw of the Shockmaster.
Shockmaster. He's like,
That wasn't supposed to happen.
no,
totally not
none
planned.
of that. He was supposed to bust through. He was supposed to be like this huge, formidable guy.
Yeah,
he was
Kool-Aid
like this,
man, that.
He was like this overweight guy. He trips, loses his helmet. He's like, they cut the camera to the other guys. They're all laughing, so they have to cut back. He like sheepishly puts it back. It was so rough.
Kind of one of those nobody saw that.
Exactly. And just there is zero doubt that was a stormtrooper helmet.
Oh yeah.
That they
110%.
spray painted silver and
Yep.
put like glittery shit all over. It was so bad.
Have you seen the Titus O'Neil thing? From
No.
The greatest. Oh my god! So Titus O'Neil is really big. black dude, has nothing to do with it. But he's really big dude.
Used to play football for the University of Miami.
He's your typical WWE guy. He's like 6'8", 275 or something like that.
Like a Bobby Lashley?
Yeah, close to it. Not as jacked,
Yeah,
but so basically he gets called down to the greatest Royal Rumble they had a couple weeks ago. He's running down to the ring. It was a 50-man Royal Rumble, and he entered in at like 40. And so his music hits. He starts running down to the ring, and we'll basically talk as when we were watching it. When his music hits, he's one of the guys where once his music hits, you turn away from your television screen because it's like, oh, it's fucking Titus O'Neil.
There's just a big sigh. And
Exactly.
It's just like,
So each of us, as we're watching it, we turn away from the television screen. All of a sudden, Corey Graves, who's one of the commentators on there, starts bursting out laughing. You turn back to the TV screen. All you see is a pair of feet from underneath the ring. And you immediately go, oh my God, he fucking ate shit on the way down to the ring.
And fell under the ring.
So what had happened is as he's running down to the ring on live TV, he eats shit, trips, slides all the way underneath the ring, lands. You just see his feet dangling out. He fucking crawls out backwards, gets up, goes into the ring, and just starts doing this really awkward, like, he's jumping around like all right, who's the dude I'm supposed to go after now? The commentators are losing their shit for like 5 minutes straight, to the point where Corey Graves, who's like the best guy they have on the commentating team now, he's laughing his ass off to the point where he's like, he literally says out loud, I'm trying to work and I can't work right now. It's the greatest thing ever.
If you go to our Facebook page and Twitter, both of that right now is set as our banner. All you see is Titus O'Neil's feet.
Oh my God,
underneath.
I've seen the banner. That's what that's
That's
from.
what that is.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
At some point when you get the chance, you got to YouTube it because it's fucking hilarious.
With commentating is even better too, because they cut away when it's like the live feed. You see him walk, like kind of sprint down the Titantron, then he like get into the ring. Then that's when you just see them laugh. Then they replay it like 6 or 7 times.
They replay it a
fucking
shit
awesome.
ton. Yeah.
So to get your Facebook page, is it C&J Wrestling?
CG Pro Wrestle Pod.
This is all you. I don't even know our shit.
It's CG Pro Wrestle Pod. You can search for that. You can search for that on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Your channel has also been shared a couple times by Podcast NH.
Yes.
So you can go
Facebook.com/podcastnh
and you can find you guys there as well.
Yeah, I think we shared out the Twitter.
And then, of course, we're on all the typical. We got hooked up with SoundCloud to start.
Yeah.
And they're awesome where they just broadcast us out to whatever. And then we're obviously on iTunes and all that.
Yeah,
fun
iTunes,
shit.
Stitcher, Google Play.
Yep.
We're on CastBox now. I didn't know about that, so that was great.
Awesome. And you guys recently did a Listen Notes interview.
Yes.
So if people want to learn more about you guys, how you got started, what your process is, they can go on Listen Notes and find it there. It's also on podcastnh.com. You can go to the interview section and check you guys out there. There's also links to your website there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're better at doing that than we are. So we start our show all the time, and I'm the one who has to do our intro. And I'm just like, go,
what are we on
go
again?
rate and follow us. And Corey, what do we do again?
This episode went a lot longer than we thought, so we're doing part 2 next week. So be ready for part 2. Follow us on twitter.com/WNTT1 or facebook.com/We Need to Talk Show. We also have a Patreon. You can donate us there. Also on Podcast NH. Check us out there. And yeah, we need to talk. Hey, if you like this content, check out our friends at GNA Podcast. Find them in the description or on Facebook at GNA Podcast. You'll love them as much as we do.